So, last question on this, and then we'll wrap up. But I just want to press you a bit. I mean, you've always struck me as being someone who is very careful with numbers, with evidence and statistics. And it feels to me that this section of the book is a kind of cry of exasperation about the aid industry that isn't as well evidenced as I would, as I associate with you.
No, I think that's a fair point. I think the question is, though,
because it is an empirical question, right? There's clearly a theoretical possibility that aid is doing harm to the government.
I think it's one of these
countries.
big questions in which empirical evidence is not likely to help very much. And I thought about that because what you say is exactly right. First of all, people have been running cross-country regressions up the kazoo.
Right.
And I thought about that stuff pretty carefully. And I don't discuss it particularly in those terms, but I do talk about it. So the bit about it that seems to me the most useful is just this fact that small countries get a lot more aid per capita than large countries, and you don't see that coming through in anything positive.
Right.
So that's a piece of empirical evidence. I think that's about all that's come out of that enormous literature, which is otherwise. But you see, if you think about, and also people have talked about the undermining argument, and there are papers looking at that. But the trouble is, it's sort of like these long-term questions, big questions like, did provision of public pensions in the UK reduce savings, right? Now that's almost empirically unanswerable because the lags are so long and there's so many other things going on.
Right.
And if you think about it undermining government, it's a very long-term thing, whereas if you did this using regression analysis or however sophisticated and so on, it's one of these mechanisms that's so slow undermining that you're not going to pick it up.